from Darren. Great stuff. All right, cool. So when we look at those scores, that's a cool little exercise. And let's be honest here. I haven't even been in your world until Sunday night. So in theory, it's probably been 3 days. And in 3 days, we've elevated the way that we are living our life and the way that we've grown. Okay. And let's have a look at the factors of that. Is that you're learning? Is that you're in a community? Is that you've got some motivation? You've got some direction? You're learning? How good does it feel to be learning? Okay. I am quite gutted though, because on Monday and Tuesday, we had over 60 people still participating in the tasks. Today, just before I come on to check, there's only 33. So remember when I said there was going to be a drop? The drop always happens around Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's because of the sustainability of trying to stay on top of the game. Now, this week is quite intense. I give you that. Our programs are not like this whatsoever. There's no way that you could sustain this tempo of delivery consistently. I would be divorced, you lot would be divorced, and we'd all be burnt out, really. So we naturally see that drop. But I am really pleased to see so many people showing up live. It has been consistent. You've been honestly, the guys showing up, it is hard. There are going to be times when it is tough, okay? And the idea of today's task was just to give you a little bit of focus. So what we have done so far is talk so much about the long-term vision. We've talked about the 5-year mission. We've talked about all of the things that are required to become that, if you like, elite operator, that man who becomes the asset, who becomes the leader, that then takes themselves forwards to achieve that mission. So we talk about, so we're going to bring it all the way back now. And we're going to start from where I would start anybody that was coming to work with us on the program. And all of that stuff about the 5-year vision, all of that stuff that we spoke about in terms of breaking it down, all of the self-mastery, we're going to put it into a 28-day play. Okay. And before I do that, I'm going to give you guys, this is if you like, an official invitation. So what we have done so far is just opening up your eyes. All we're going to do this week is open up your eyes and give you insights. And whenever we do these things, we open up the doors to our, if you like, coaching academy, if you want to call it that, or our coaching community. Our coaching community is, we have about just over 100 guys who we coach, who come onto our programs, and they come into our world. And we limit the amount of people that come into that world simply because of the quality of training that we want to give. Okay. And I want to take you through a scenario right now. So right now you're in this bubble. So we're all in this bubble. And right now I would say that you are learning. You are having what I would call an eye opener. So we're like, my God, I've never thought about some of these things. I've never stopped to actually appreciate what's going on in my life. And there is this huge opportunity where we have got everybody off the floor that was sitting on the floor or lost or wondering. And we've got ourselves to a place now where we're actually starting to understand ourselves. Okay. Now, there are 2 routes that most people go down, and we've been doing this a long time. So I know this from conversations. There are probably people in here who have done previous 5 days. There are people who've been here and worked with us and gone way too early than they should have, and they've come back. So we go through this loop. So we miss the opportunity to build on what we're learning. And after about 7 to 14 days, usually after this, it's almost like that this event never happened to those people. So we're in here and we've gone from a 4 to a 7. But in about 7 to 14 days, we go straight back down to about that 4 again. And that's because we haven't built foundations yet. What we've done is we've skimmed the surface of everything that's possible. And what ends up happening, you end up in this hamster wheel. And do you remember on Monday, I talked about the cycle of chaos? That's where we end up back. And then 4 months later, you'll see an ad when we do our next 5-day, if we do another one this year. And you go, right, I'm going to get back on that. I need an eye opener. I need a boost, or whatever like lads call it. And that's what we do. And it becomes a mountain range. We're like, yeah, I'm on it. Didn't build on it. Let it go. Back to normal life. 4 months later, oh, let's go and get back on that. And it's like this cycle and this wave. And the biggest thing that we waste is time. Okay. We we waste time. On average, it takes a man around between 6 and 8 months to pull the trigger on doing something for themselves. And the reason is because number one, they're fearful. Number two, they overthink the process. Number three, they think they can do it by themselves. Number four, they think that they can't afford it or invest in it. And by the way, the people that I ask when they say that, they don't even manage their accounts, which is mind fucking. Okay. So we go through this cycle. But then when we do come on through to the other side and people take an opportunity, they do four things. Number one, they show an element of courage. Okay. Already one of the lads has messaged me today and gone, I'm sick of my own bullshit. I'm in, let's go. And you get to that point where you have that courage and you go, I need to do this. Number two is commitment. You guys have already proved that you have a level of commitment because you're still here. You are 31 people live. There will be about 12 people that watch back out of 280. You are that small percentage of people that have shown up. And that is incredible. And that's a great commitment that you're still here. And that's testament to you wanting to do something to improve yourself, to find more direction, to gain more purpose, to embrace more life. And sometimes we undervalue that commitment. All right. Then there is trust. We need to be able to trust the person that's going to take us through to the next step. Okay. That's how I very much see these 5 days is a relationship building exercise. And by the time we get to Friday, like if you don't trust me by now, then you never will. Okay. And that's what it's about. It's about actually going, hey, this is exactly who I am. I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. That's how the trust works. Okay. And then you've got to actually want it. You've got to actually want change. You've actually got to want to build a process. You've actually got to want to do the hard work. Okay. Because if you don't, it's pointless. Okay. So on that, I am inviting only 10 guys that want to commit to their future, that want to improve the way they show up, that want to build more direction, gain more purpose, embrace more life, and pretty much do what we've done so far over 90 days. Okay. And the way that we run this is that it's called the Remember the Mission Blueprint. And over 90 days, you will work with me and my team to follow a strategy, a structure, a routine, and a system that is going to take you to the next level of your life. And I'm just going to very, very quickly, if it's all right with you, break it down into how this works. Okay. So within the 90 days, there are 3 separate missions, okay, in here. And we call them operations. So this is the 90-day mission, okay? In these 90 days, you are more than likely going to achieve more than you have than the last 18 months. And that is because all of your time, your energy and focus is going to be accounted for in achieving much more progress in your personal and professional life. Okay. This is not just a personal development thing. This is a professional development thing. So we don't just work on you to make sure that you're being a great husband and that you're losing weight. We're making sure that you're the best business owner or the best in your career or you're thriving in your career because it works right across the board. It's not just a one-dimension thing. When we build the man, he becomes the asset of his family and his career. He becomes the leader of his family, of his career. So in the first 30 days, we call this Operation Habit Launcher. Okay. It says what it does on the tin. So in the first 30 days for me, okay, you are going to establish the following 3 things: habit and routine development. So that means that we have to develop brand new habits, brand new routines to get to that next level. You're going to have a self-awareness upgrade. So if you think with this is our 3rd day, okay, you already have a self-awareness upgrade in these 3 days. So you can only imagine what's going to happen over 90 days working on yourself. And then on the last part here, you're going to command and control your time and your energy on your focus. So through this time here, you will be very much focusing on doing your weekly plans, planning what you need to do that's going to move you forwards, going into the battlefield, operating and achieving those 7-day missions, then reviewing them. And you're going to get really good at them over those first 4 weeks. Okay. Then we move on to the second phase, which is Operation Plan and progress. So in here, there are three key things, and it's the ignition of structure, routine, and system at a much bigger scale. Okay, so suddenly we're going to go into this in a much more detail. We're going to build stronger structure because you would have learned so much about yourself here. Your routines will become non-negotiable, and the systems around it to make it work will become second nature to you. So what we're slowly doing is reprogramming the mind. Remember what I spoke about? We're putting in the coding from the blueprint in here with the practice of accountability, support, continued training to improve the programming. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Your planning, your planning and the consistency will all be paying off. So you will be starting to think about, okay, all of the things that you're planning to do and them achieving, your belief system going here, your self-worth going here, your wife going, who the fuck is this guy? Going here, you having done by this stage, by the end of this stage, 8 weeks worth of fitness, because fitness is a non-negotiable part of the process, right? You're going to be planning in your workouts. So if you are not, by the end of these 8 weeks, further ahead than you have been for the whole of this fucking year, okay, then I will run around the town in my white fronts, screaming in a sandwich board, I'm an absolute bellend. Because by the time you get to here and you show up and you do the work and you do what I ask you to do, you're not even going to recognize yourself, okay? Because of the change of habits and the way you show up. And then here by the end, you're going to zero in on your 28-day and 12-week mission. So now we're promoting ourselves from just planning on a 7-day basis to, hey, I'm going to plan over 28 days, which is what I'm going to show you how we're going to do that after this quick presentation. Okay. Then we go into the final phase, okay, which is Operation Pinnacle Path. Okay, so we're trajectories like this. So we're going to be conditioned for a clearer vision about where we want to go in our lives. So we're basically unpacking ourselves quicker, we're failing quicker, we're learning quicker, we're becoming more confident, we're understanding more about what we want. There is more purpose, there is more direction, there is more embracing life, there is more knowing about what you want. We've had guys who have come into this system who have been so focused on building their career that they forgot their family. And by the end of the 90 days, they are more about building success from home, making sure that actually the family unit is the most successful thing in their life. And that has eased all of that obligation, that pressure and that stress in their career. And actually, because they have a solid family life and a solid home base, that naturally spills into the professional world. Okay. And it could be anything. Your thing could be anything, but it's having that clearer vision because actually you're unpacking, you're working. Okay. The foundations, you'll have the foundations for growth. You'll have key values, key principles that you build your life around. And then you'll have the 4 C's to build or have built your identity on. And that is consistency of action, control of your time, your energy and focus, clarity of the direction that you're going, and commitment to achieve your mission. They are the things that are going to build your identity. They are the things that are going to help you understand that are things that are holding you back. And this is going to be the elevation to get to the point where you're at this place right here, where you've built the man, you're then ready to build the asset to then become the leader. It's at this point here that your expectations, you have got permission to go with your expectations. What can I achieve? If you think about a military establishment, this is their boot camp. This is your boot camp. Okay. You'll have all of these expectations here, but what you're going to do is go through a process and a journey of self-discovery that you probably never even realized. You're going to learn things you've never even known. And we're going to slowly mold you into becoming that guy that you need to be for the people around you. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Okay, there are 5 reasons why guys don't take this option. Okay, number 1 is time constraints. I'm too busy. I've got too much on. There's so much going on in my life. The whole process has been designed for you to be able to manage this course. This course is not designed to take over your life. It's not like what we're doing in this 5-day, guys. It's not like you're getting 4 emails a day and messages on Facebook. That's just for this because it's an small, intense course, right? There's lots to cover. In the everyday world, you have your blueprint. You have the times when you'll come and meet us. You'll have your accountability systems. You'll flow into it and it will naturally merge into your life. So there's your life. There's the course. They're not two separate things. They're just merged. One supports the other. And then suddenly you have this process that you're a part of something. You're not trying to do it by yourself. Okay, you are part of a community. You are part of a bigger structure. You are part of a movement of guys that are trying to move themselves forward. Does that make sense to guys? Okay. So time constraints in a day. Okay. Sometimes you're probably looking at it between 15 and 25 minutes. If you watch one of the videos, which is 5 minutes, doing your morning accountability, at the weekend, doing your weekly planning, watching some of the catch up or continue trainings. 3 times a month, we do focus sessions. We've got 2 other coaches and I do one of them as well. Okay. Depending on what level you're at. Okay. So this is more than achievable around your busy schedules. Okay. Finance. A lot of people are nervous about investing in themselves because they've never done it before. Quite a lot of people have never really valued themselves enough to pay money to learn how to do something. Okay. It's not in their nature. They're not used to it. I remember when I hired my first mentor in 2014, I was like, oh my God, I felt sick about doing it. But actually the guy that I hired turned out to be one of my best mates. He turned out to be my mentor for 3 years. He turned out to be my right-hand man. It turned out to be the best investment I ever made. And it's almost, you've got to be able to look at that. So in terms of when you look at the details, there are payment plans. Okay. There are, when you look at it and you think about how much money you spend on shit, i.e. booze, going out. If you want to do anything, go and look at your bank statement from last month and print it off, highlight with a highlighter, all of the things that you spent that you didn't need to. I went into Starbucks the other day and I just asked for my normal drink and it was £5.50 for a fucking coffee. And literally a day on our basic one, you're looking at about £8 a day to invest in you. You are the investment, right? So that is what is the most important thing to understand. You are the most important asset of your life. All of the cars, the Sky TVs, the nights out, most people spend £150 on a night out, which is mind fucking. And most people will go on Amazon binges and will spend thousands on holiday. But then when you look at the last 5 years, how much have you spent on you learning to be a better version of you? And then you understand why you're not where you want to be. Okay. And that's really important to understand. So this becomes a real barrier. Fear of failure, believe it or not, guys go, I'm going to go. When I used to run my first business, which was a boot camp, we had thousands of members and people would come to me and go, I'm just going to go and get fit and then I'm going to join. And that was just fear. That was just being worried that they're not good enough. Guys, you're at the start of your journey. I don't want you to come into this if as experts. You're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be at the start of the journey. That's why it's mine and my team's job to take care of you and nurture you to become much more stronger with your character, much more guidance to knowing how to do this, to reassure you, to give you more clarity. My job as a mentor is to build confidence in you. And that means you guys know me by now. I'm straight shooting. I'm just going to tell you how it is. And it's not that I'm not understanding, I am, but I'm just going to put my arm around you and be like, dude, you're overthinking that bullshit. Let's move on. Let's get through it. And you go, yeah, God, I really am. And then you keep yourself accountable and learn how to move forwards. Do you know what I mean? Doing it alone, a lot of people leave here and go, I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to learn it. I'm going to change my life. 17 to 14 days. 0.2% of people that leave the 5-day continue anything that we've learned in here. And that's after 6 years worth of data and following up with people. Okay. And that's because there are no foundations. Because as soon as you leave here, this structure that we're in disappears. Real life comes in, bang, straight back. Because you don't have the resources, the tools, the resilience yet. You haven't built it. We're just at the very top. Okay. And then timing. It's always about, oh, it's not the right time. Oh, just my head's not right at the minute. Oh, I've got the holiday here. Holidays don't matter. Doesn't matter. You work around it. Okay. when you go on holiday, you go and take a week off holiday, you come back, you go straight back in the program. Okay. There are no excuses. You can do this. Anyone can do this. I have seen people come in and completely and utterly change their lives. Okay. But you've got to want it. You've got to be committed. You've got to show up and do the work, and you've got to trust the process. Okay. Because it's going to be an exciting ride for some of you. So how we do this is by 3 ways. Number 1, education. Education comes in the form of the blueprint. It is a 10 framework educational structure that takes you through from how to build your morning routine, to how to plan 28 days, to how to build a 5-year mission, to what else is there, to how to build an evening routine, how to bring you closer to your kids, how to problem solve. Everything you need is within there. Okay. It is the framework. It is my life's work in one blueprint, in a ton of videos that are going to take you through a journey to build you up. Okay. And on top of that, we're going to invite you in for 3 months into our community. Okay. So there are on top of that bonuses. Okay. So I want to make sure that this is the best package that you can possibly get. So I want to give you everything I possibly can. So on top of that, I'm going to give you our self mastery course. Now, this is a course that we sell for 500 quid. It's changed many people's life. It is a real deep dive into self-mastery, self-discipline, emotional conditioning. And there are 5 1-hour length videos in there with resources to be able to build your self-mastery skills. Okay. So we're going to give you that. Those that come along, you're going to get a free ticket to our seminar at Aston Villa Stadium or in Birmingham at the end of November. Last year we had 117 men attend, but we're going to give you a free ticket. Okay. For the first 10 that register, I'm going to invite you to our, we have a focus group on the 29th of June down here where I live with our elite squad, which is my small group training program. So you'll get an invite to come and spend the day with us down here. Okay. That is easily a grand day worth of training for free. The first 5 that pay up front, you're going to get a one-to-one strategy call with me halfway through this 90 days. We're going to sit down for 45 minutes to an hour to figure out what you're learning, but how we can raise your game through there. Okay. As an extra bonus. On top of that, there are also other bonuses and courses. We're going to throw in the workout courses. There's over 100 workouts in there. There's nutrition and diet plans. There are yoga courses in there to the yin yang. Okay. There are past focus sessions for you to catch up with as well. There is bi-weekly check-in calls with me. Okay. To be able to check in on everybody and see how everyone is doing. Okay. They're not the be all and end of the course. You can either catch them up or you can come and join us as well. But the main thing is doing the accountability, getting the support and having a blueprint. So the support comes in terms of the community. We have a community of highly committed, highly motivated and inspirational guys who are working on themselves. Are all of them on top of the game? Absolutely not. Okay. Are some of them up and down? Absolutely. That's the process and that's the journey. It's constantly coming back, constantly improving themselves. Okay. And I am fully active in there. We've got 2 coaches. You've already met Marcus from the guy who overcome cancer. Mike B, you're going to meet tomorrow. And then you're going to meet John on Friday at 12 o'clock when we do talk about men's behavior and how to be successful. Then there is the accountability systems. Okay, you got me, you got the team, and you got our system. Okay, so there is an accountability system to make sure that you're showing up and you're doing what you said you were going to do. This is a whole complete and utter package. There are payment plans. You can pay up front. There are bonuses for all. I put all of the details on here. And it is important to understand that this is your life. This is your opportunity. You have to want it. This is going to be probably the best package that we've put out, you know. And you've got to ask yourself when you leave here, it's kind of like you're going to naturally make that excuse and go, yeah, I can't afford it. Like what I think one of the lads has just said there. Or you turn around and you go, how can I afford not to do it? So I've put the link in there for you guys. Okay, I've put the link in there for you. You can have a look at it, go through it. I will talk a little bit more about it as we go along. I've pinned it up in the thing there so you can look at it at any point. Okay. I just want to make sure that the guys that are coming through are the guys that want to be up for this. So my job, and I'm going to be honest here, I think over the first 3-4 years of my business, we used to bring people in that didn't show up. Okay. So our programs used to be much cheaper, and people would come through, and I was falling out of love with my job because the lads coming through weren't showing up. For me, my passion is getting a message, turning around to me and saying, my wife's just said I've got my husband back. That's what it means to me. Someone just turned around and says, I've just increased my business, or my job, I've just left my job and I found a new job and on a new path. For me, this is about wanting to show up and work with men that want to work with me, that want to do the job. Okay. Not the tippy tapping, not the making excuses, doing the work, getting fucking work, changing you so that your family goes, who the fuck is this guy? The best ROI for me is getting emails from your wives and your girlfriends going, thank you for giving my husband back. There is huge potential here, guys. Okay. Have a read through some bedtime reading. We got places for 10 committed guys that want to show up and do the work. Okay. So now we're going to get into 28-day planning. Let me just wipe the board. If there's any questions, guys, okay, I will answer them for you at the end, or you can email me at me@boardmanjames.com. Okay. If you need to ask me questions on it, you can book a call. Okay. Because this offer lasts till Sunday night, or when the 10 places go. Okay. I already know that one of the places is gone because it was sold just before I logged in. Okay, for you guys. So I know there's 9 places available. Ooh, it's hot. Cool. Let's get on with tonight's mission. Planning the 28 days. Who enjoyed this task? In the comments, just let me know. Who enjoyed it? Who found it difficult? Who was like, man, I've never done this before. Just give me some, I'd love to get some feedback, guys, off you. While you're doing that, I should say that when you do read the information, there are 3 different levels you can come in at. There's the back to basics ones, the accelerate one, and then there is the top 1% one, which is for businessmen. And then the main difference is the amount of time that I spend with you. So if you accelerate, you'll get a lot more of me, basically, is the difference. Why can I not see all of that now? Never done it before, but enjoyed it. It was hard. Was good challenge, struggled with it. Really good kick up the backside. Think some of my tasks were for my, thoughts in my week already. Difficult. It is difficult. Yes, tough, but good. No, tricky. It was good. Okay, cool. All right. So the reason that I got you to do that, guys, is because one of the hardest things that we do whenever you come in to work with us, okay, what we don't do is go, right, Terry, I want you to come up with your 5-year vision. You're not conditioned for that. If you remember what I was talking about, if we take it into a gym scenario, when you go into the gym, you don't just go straight to lifting up a 200 kilogram deadlift. You don't do that. We build up. So we just do the bar. We work the technique. We make sure the body posture is correct. And then we put some weight on, and then we build that conditioning. And over 6 months, we're ready to lift 200 kilograms. Okay. And it's the same with planning. And planning, mission building is so important because what we're doing is creating the reference point for our life to move in a direction. So what you guys did today, without probably realizing, is create your direction. And as you go in that direction, you create some purpose. Okay. And you create a process, and you create a journey, and you're going to build your confidence with it as well. Okay. So ideally, when we're here, suddenly we have line of sight where we want to go with our lives. Because most people, this is most people's lives. Tell me if you think this is you. This is, before you come in to do this, tell me if this wasn't you. So this is your brain. That was probably your direction. I don't know if you can see the scribble because the pen's a bit faded. But basically, it's like a 2-year-old, right? Scribbling around. If I give a pen to a 2-year-old, that would be your that would be your vision. That would be your mission. That would be your direction. Like, you don't know if you're coming or going. And obviously, that causes what? What you all keep saying to yourself. Oh, I'm anxious, or I'm depressed, or I'm lost. You are lost. That's the thing. I had 4 guys on my backstage pass today, and every single one of them is struggling to know who they are, who their identity is. Half of them are struggling with confidence issues. Half of them have got, most of them have got an issue with an ego blocking their potential, in a slight entitlement. So it's important to understand that this is suddenly going to give us line of sight, okay? So let me just draw this line here. Okay, that is a pretty decent straight line. So the first thing that I want you to do, and I didn't get you to do this, first of all, is the first step is to brain dump, okay? So when we brain dump, we're able to spend a particular period of time getting everything out of our head. Who brain dumped before they come up with their final outcomes that they wanted to achieve over 28 days? Okay, so a brain dump is that you get a piece of paper, you find a quiet environment, and you write down a line down the middle, everything that you want to achieve professionally, everything that you want to achieve personally, and then you just write down as many things as possible. Did anybody do that? Good. So David did. Great stuff. Anybody else? So when we do that, we basically just get everything out. And what the problem is that most people try to come up with that thing without brain dumping. Okay. So we could write 20 things that we want to achieve. 20 things that we want to achieve personally, 20 things that we would love to achieve personally, and that's what I want to achieve, okay? And what that does is highlights all of the things that are going on in our head. You might even take longer than 15 minutes. You just get it all down, put it all down. Then we can get on to the next phase. Are you going, Bay? That's fine. Come and say goodbye before you go. Cool. So what do we do when we have like 10 or 15 things written down for each one? Because that again can be overwhelmed. And this is one of the most important parts of this, because we've got to understand what is priority. Okay, what is important and what is urgent. Okay, what is important but not so urgent. So when we prioritize, we've got to come up with, and this is how I do it, I go, all right, what are the top 3 things that I really need to ensure? So when I was at the start of May, preparing for this 5 days was at the top of my list. So when I think about all the things that I needed to do and all the projects that we've got going on, and there was an awful lot going on, I knew that the majority of May had to be a priority. So it's almost taken me 4 weeks to plan and prepare and put all of this 5 days together. It's not just a case of getting a couple of messages. There is so much involved. So when I'm prioritizing, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what is coming up? What needs achieving? What moves the business forward? Then in terms of my personal, when I'm writing down all the things that I wanted to achieve, I come up with my top 3. I then put my back out midway through May, and it changes everything. So then I can literally just go back to my brain dump and go, right, I need to reprioritize. I need to reevaluate. I need to be able to adjust. So prioritization really helps us identify where our time, energy, and focus needs to go. Time, energy, and focus is one of your biggest assets, guys. It is time is your biggest asset. Money isn't. You can lose loads of money and you can go out and you can earn it and you can get it back. But like when I talked about this cycle of people wasting time going around in circles, overthinking, then moving forwards, you don't get that time back. That is what is so valuable, especially if you're around my age. Like, we are still young. Like, I'm 45, I'm 46 in October, but I'm like I want to get on. I've still got lots more to achieve. I can't afford to waste procrastinating, thinking. So, 2 secs. Love you loads. Is Mum picking you up? No. All right. Love you. Take care. So we want to be able to make sure that we know where our time and energy is going is valuable, moving you forwards. Okay? So once you've brain dumped, we highlight the top 3 things that we want to achieve, and then we write down why we want to achieve them. Okay? The why is really, really important, because if you're saying to me, I want to do this, if you want to do A, B, or C, and you don't know why you want to do that, then you're not going to connect with that mission. Okay? Now, I use this 5-day challenge as an example. I had to prioritize it. Why? Because it's my main project at the minute. Okay? After this, already we've started work on the next project. So next week I'm going to Spain. I'm taking my my top 1% group to Spain to do a retreat to go into detail on how to build a 5-year mission. So then the project becomes, right, okay, that's the next project. That's where my time and energy is going. Then after that, we've got something else that we're going to line up. And then that's my project. So I'm always making sure that I'm not wasting my time doing something that is not moving me forwards. Does this make sense to everybody, guys? Just let me know in the comments. Either just hit the thumb button. Okay, great. So what I'm trying to do is simplify this for you as much as possible, okay? Just so we understand the logics and we understand the roots of everything, we understand the process. Okay, so then we break down life. So the way that we used to do it is that we have 4 pillars, and the 4 pillars were health, relationships, personal development, and your career, your business, okay? Business or your career, whichever one you was in. But what I found is just that we ended up having 3 for each, and I didn't know whether this particular goal was personal development or work, and it just become messy. So the way that we did it is that we had 2 categories. And it's super simple, because there are 2 sides to your life. There is the personal side, and then there is the professional side. There are only those 2 sides of your life, okay? So what we want to do is I always think that we should have no more than 3 and no less than 1 goals here. So when we prioritize. Okay, so what we're starting to do now is create structure. Okay, like, as mad as it sounds, okay, this is a structure. Okay, we're building a structure about where our lives are going over the next 28 days. Now, if we put all of those things that you said you're going to achieve, and we achieved them over those 28 days, how many of you guys, and you can answer this in the comments, would probably, if you wrote everything down, if you did the challenge today and you put your stuff down, if you achieved that in the next 28 days, would you have moved yourself forwards more in those 28 days than probably the last 2 or 3 months? What do you think it would be? How much more would you have advanced in those 28 days than the last 2 or 3 months? Okay, and this is clinical action. Okay, so I want you just to write that down for me. 100%. So we're starting to see, right? The guys are like, yes, 100%. Make me much happier. There would be more fulfillment, right? Would there not be more fulfillment? Would there not be more accomplishment, more progression? What would there be not any of? Would there still be anxiety? I'm pretty much sure that there wouldn't, right? Would there be more depression? No, I don't think there would be. Because we're not thinking about anxiety and depression anymore. All we're doing is thinking about achieving the mission. Because what we've got here is certainty, we've got clarity, we've got progression. we've got direction, we're getting purpose, we feel like energized because we're on this mission, right? And that is what is really important to understand about all of this. Okay, so work-life balance, morning routine. Okay, so professional. Let me just change the color here. So let's say mission time, project. I don't know, sales target. Okay, I'm just literally making examples up here. Okay, so when we look at this, I just kind of come up with this random plan. Okay, off the top of my head. So now, when I look at how I'm going to command and control my time, energy, and focus, I can look at this and go, if the month turned out, if the 30 days turned out to be utter shit, but I achieved these, is it going to be utter shit? Absolutely not, because we've achieved. So if I said, right, I want to achieve £12 is quite a lot. Just fucking put £6. So like, let's say you're an overweight man right now. So let's say you've got more body fat than you should have. And you go, right, I'm going to lose £6. Right, I'm going to lose £6 by the end of the 28 days. Achievable, right? I'm going to work on my work-life balance. So I want to improve my routine, leaving work and coming back home so that I'm more present for the family. I'm leading the family. I'm being in the room and actually present in the room. And then I want to build my morning routine. Okay, they're fair ones, right? So I think anybody that was coming in to work with me on this opportunity, this could possibly be one of the things you're looking at. Okay. On your professional side, I've just put here learning to finish on time. Okay, learning to leave work at work, for example. Maybe a project that you've got. So let's just say the 5-day challenge. Okay, and then a sales target. So I don't know. I'm just like, if you're in sales or you're running your own business, let's say you want to make an extra 2K, for example. Okay. So we now have targets, outcomes that we can work on. Okay. But what we're going to do with this is, because 28 days is quite a long time, we cannot wake up every single morning and go, right, I'm trying to achieve £6. We've got to break this down. So we've got to reverse engineer the process. So this is where this system works so well, because spending a little bit of time doing this is going to make sure that you become efficient on the day-to-day business. 2 secs. There you go. Had to let the cat out. Cat out of the bag. So we need to reverse engineer this process so that we have checkpoints, so they're manageable. So if you remember when I was introducing you to the 90-day Remember the Mission blueprint, what did I do? I showed you the 90 days. I said it was going to be 90 days, but what did I do? I broke it down into sections. We reverse engineered the 90 days. I showed you how we're going to break it down. And this is how we're going to break down our plans so that they become much more achievable. Okay. So we need to be able to go, right, how can I break this down? So we break it down into 4 sections. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Okay. Does everyone understand what I'm doing there? I'm not teaching to suck eggs, and I don't want you to think like I'm being daft, but I just want to make sure everyone's with me, because this can be quite overwhelming sometimes, right? So I just want to make sure that everybody is on board. Okay. I'll keep checking the comments. So we've got 28 days or 30 days on average a month. We've got 1 week. So I need to be able to break these down and go, right, let's get some checkpoints. So let's say 2, 4, 6. Let's say 1, 3. So let's say here on the personal front, by the end of the first week, I want to lose my first pound. Okay. £1. Okay. That is more than achievable, right? You could take a shit and leave 3. That would leave you the rest of the month. Okay. Work-life balance. Cool. So the first thing that we can set in the first week is going, let's set a time when I'm going to agree to finish work. Okay. So a barrier for work-life balance. Okay. So that week we would practice finishing at, I don't know, 16:30. At 16:30, your alarm goes, boom. For the week one, I'm going to make sure that I finish work, okay? The routine to go from work to home is stuff that we can build on later down the line. But for just this week, I'm going to get used to, remember, first 30 days was habit launcher, building those habits and routines. So in the first week, okay, I'm going to create barriers where I finish at that time. Does that make sense? Yeah? Understood? Good. Good. It's so difficult when you coach on a phone and you don't see people. Because when I see people, they're like, oh, yeah. Okay, so then for the first week, for the morning routine, we're going to get up at, let's say, 5:30. Okay, boom. So we're going to get used to getting up at 5:30. Okay, so then here, we're going to finish on time. So this works nicely with this. Okay, so these two almost are working hand in hand. Project, 5-day challenge. So let me go back to the first day. So on the 5-day, I would write my emails. Okay, emails, 5-day challenge. So all those emails you're getting, I wrote in the first week of May. Okay. Sales target. I don't know. So if we broke that down, it's like, what could we say here? Maybe it's preparing your pitch. Maybe if you're working for a company, you've got a pitch, but at the end of the 28 days or at the end of 30s, so you might prepare pitch. Okay, so by the end of week one, we have just created our weekly tasks of where our time and our energy and our focus is going to go, okay? Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. And then you would simply do the same. You would simply do the same for week 2. Then you would do the same for week 3, and you would do the same for week 4. And what you would do is get to the end of this week, and then you would review it. So this is what the lads do with us, okay? They review then their plans. So we go, did I lose that pound? Did I do the 16:30? Did I do it well? Did I not do it well? Did I get up at 5:30 every single morning? If I didn't, why didn't I do it? Okay. So part of getting this project ready, there's lots of things to take into consideration. There's ads, there's social media, there's emails, there's information pages. So I'm going to tick off one chunk of that by getting the emails done. And then if you've got that, you would prepare the pitch. Okay. Just let me know if you're with me so far before I rub all of this off and I show you how to focus on building that first week. Any questions on this at this point? Okay, if you've got any questions as we go, make sure that you ask them as we go. And if you're listening on the podcast, the video will be in the description as well. So I'll make sure that you get the resources you need. Good. All right. Okay, so we've now gone from having a 28-day goals that we had here. We then reverse engineered them and we planned the first week. We only need to plan the first week, okay? We plan the second week. I usually do my planning for the following week on the Thursday. So Thursday, I like to go into the weekend having planned the following week. So I'm not thinking to myself, oh, what have I got to do next week? It reduces anxiety. It improves clarity and certainty on where my time's going the following week, and it just reduces that anxiety over the weekend. Okay, so I like to make sure that I'm well planned before the weekend, and this is what I try and encourage everybody in our coaching group to do, is make sure you've done all your planning by Friday so you can go into the weekend, enjoy the weekend, and then like when you come to Sunday, you just check your details for what you've got to do on the first day. And then boom, you're ready to go. You're suddenly organized. You're suddenly calm. You're suddenly less stressed. You suddenly know what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to plan your day. So we said that we wanted to achieve this here. And when we break down the day, we break it down into 4 sections. And it's like being at school, okay? So early AM. Late PM, early PM, and then late PM. All right. So we break the day down into 4 sections. Okay. So again, what we're doing here is creating a what? It's a structure. Okay. And what the guys do is that we have time blocks right here. So this time may go from, for me, it goes from 4:15. So I get up at 4:15 every morning, and my early morning will go to 9 o'clock. Then my late morning will go from 9 to 12:30. And then this will go from 1 o'clock after lunch to 16:30, and then 16:30 to bed. Okay. You can do whatever your timing's in there. Okay. So that when I do my day, what I have is in this first block here is the morning routine. So what happens here, it's yoga and walk. Okay. And that goes from 4:15 to 5:30. Bang. Next one here is 5:30 till 6:30. Bang. That's kill zone. I'm going to explain what a kill zone is in a minute. And then bang here, 6:30 till 7:30 kids. Okay, and then from here, 7:30 till 8:30 work. Okay, so what I've created here is almost like a, what I would almost create here is a plan of action. So when I wake up, I know what time I'm going to be carrying out an activity. I know what the activity is, and I know what I need to achieve. So from 4:15 to 5:30, I get up, I have breakfast, I do yoga, I take the dog for a walk, I do my podcast on there, I do my Instagram stories, I dictate my daily email, I come back. Kill zone is a period of time when you focus on just one thing. So that is work for me here at this point. That's doing all my social media. By 6:30, my wife goes to the gym, I get the kids ready for school, I have breakfast, I do my ice tub. Then at 7:30 to 8:30, I then do my next kill zone where I go to work or I go to my community office, one of the two. So can you see that we're building up some form of structure right here? Okay, straight away. So then during the working day, we would go from here. So there are going to be 2 working periods in this morning. So from 9 to 10:30, okay, and then from 11 to 12:30. These would be kill zones. So kill zones, you focus on one thing purely, okay? Let me just get this here. Bang, bang. Sorry about the state of these. I just want to obviously get them down as quick as possible. 3, 2, 4, 30. Okay, so these would be working blocks. So this is where kill zone, that would be kill zone 2, kill zone 3, kill zone 4, kill zone 5. So what I'm doing is I'm structuring my day in these blocks. Then I would take what I've got to do and make sure they're being put into these blocks. So kill zone here between 9 and 10:30 meant, so these 2 blocks here would be email writing all morning. Now this is where energy management comes in and understanding how much energy you've got. Because cognitively, as soon as I finish 12:30, having been up since 4:15, having done all of this, I know that I can't get any deep work done. I can't really do any writing. If I do any videos, I'm a bit sloppy. So I know that this is my key area to do the biggest jobs that I need to do to move the business forward. So if I was going to prepare a pitch, it would be here. If I was going to do emails, it would be here. So whatever tasks that you have for your jobs, if it's looking for a job, if it's connecting with people, if it's doing sales calls, if it's building a project, it would be done at this time when your energy is at its peak, okay? And then in the afternoon, these kill zones are more the logistical side of things. They're the less demanding roles, because if you get into intense work here, number 1, you're tired. Number 2, if we said that we were going to finish at 16:30, okay, then what ends up happening here is that we go past this and then it starts encroaching on family time. Does that make sense? Right, they've got some questions here that I'm going to answer because I don't want to go too far past them. Okay. I do this kind of planning for work, but need to extend it for everything else. 100%. Everybody that I speak to goes, yeah, I've got goals, I've got aspirations for my career, but never themselves. Okay. And that's where the problem comes in, where your wife has learned, your family, every time you're not around, they're learning to live without you. Okay. That's the truth of it, you know, and that's why divorce and separation happens, because your wife is learning to live without you, you know, and they, I'm sure they appreciate all the hard work, but there still has to be connection, right? That's the sacrifice. How would you recommend to plan with your ex-partner for the weekend in terms of seeing the kids? How would you recommend to plan with your ex-partner for the weekend in terms of, well, if you've got the kids, you do whatever you want to do with the kids. And what I would say is that this routine, I keep Monday to Friday. Weekends, I don't have any structure. I don't make any, I literally go where the missus tells me. I don't mean it like that, but I just go where the wind takes me. And I like to have that break from that structure, because then by Sunday night, I really appreciate going back in. Okay. How do you make it work in a day when you have lots of meetings? So those meetings would go into these blocks, right? So if you know when your meetings are, if you imagine that these are empty blocks, you would just put in, like, I've got a meeting between here. If you have no control of those meetings, then unfortunately, you know, there's only so much you can do. You can turn around, like most corporate fucking companies. I meant to go into a corporate company once, and they wanted to have an hour's meeting at the very start of the day. And I was like to the CEO, this is like, I've listened to all the horse shit that's being spoken this first hour. It could be done in 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, right? But if you do have meetings, then you slot them into these time blocks that are right here. Okay, so you know where they are, and then you can work around them. Does that make sense? Good. What time do I go to bed? So I go to bed at 9, and I'm asleep by 9:30. Okay. How does this work for a single guy living on his home who struggles to organise their... I'm not sure that was going to save. But if you're a single guy and living on your own, then you find things to fill this time with. It means you've got more time for personal development. It means you've got more time to go out there and look for a job. It means you've got more time there to go out and join other groups, other communities. So you just fill it with other stuff. Okay, if you haven't got kids and you haven't got family, it means you've got more time to do stuff for just you. Okay, cool. All right. So, and we would then come on to the evening here, and then what we might have is that, like, when you come in here, you might go 4:30 till, I don't know, 7, kids and family, and then you try and get your evening time here at 7 till bed. Okay, whenever you go to bed. So we've gone from the 28-day plan to, and to do that, we did the brain dumping, we did the prioritizing, we did the things that we need to do to move our lives forward personally and professionally. We then did the reverse engineering to know what we need to do in week 1 to move us one step closer. Okay. We then looked at, right, what do I need to do on this day here that would then plan on here. Okay. In terms of curveballs, there's always going to be curveballs. This is a perfect scenario, right? And I'm not stupid enough to realize that the day always works like this. Is always because kids are sick, your missus is sick, you're sick, someone crashes into the back of you, your boss is off sick, like something in your job, there's an emergency. Okay. But what ends up happening is that when you have this, what do we reduce? Do we reduce anxiety? Do we reduce uncertainty? Do we reduce depression? Do we reduce all of the overthinking that goes on about what you've got to achieve and what you've got to do? This brings huge amounts of clarity to your life. Now, for many of you, you don't necessarily always have that luxury. You don't have that luxury of having that clarity. This, Okay, when you practice this over and over and over again, and this is what the guys are doing. So basically what the guys do, when you get really good at this and when you get to the end of the Elite 90 and then beyond, you start to plan for 12 weeks. So then you reverse engineer 12 weeks and you go, right, 12 weeks is here. And how we break that down into checkpoints is that we go 28 day. So if I say 30, so 31, 32 and 33. Okay. So if it was at the start of the year, that would be January, that would be February, that would be March. Okay. So in order to achieve my 12-week outcomes and goals and the things that I want to achieve over the quarter, I need to know what I need to achieve in that first 28 days. So your 28-day plan becomes part of the bigger master plan. In the early days, when it's just a 28-day plan, that's just what you're trying to achieve. When you get good at this, okay, when you get good at this, that becomes the byproduct of achieving that. That's the big win. You've got to wait 90 days to get your outcomes. But then you know what you've got to achieve here. And then you get to the end of this and you go, okay, what are the next steps that I need to take here to then move to there? And then, okay, what have I got left to wrap up to make sure that these are achieved? Make sense? And this is what we're trying to build. So you're in and through this process, we're building the man. We're building the skills. And this is what the blueprint is teaching all of you guys to do and how to be the man to meet it. So you get the outcomes. Okay. Make sense for everyone? Okay. Guys, are there any questions before we wrap up? Okay. When you said you don't follow this plan Saturday and Sunday, do you keep the parts of it? I don't keep any part of it. So I don't get up I don't set an alarm at the weekend. On Saturday and Sunday, I don't set an alarm. I get up whenever I get up. Either me or the wife will get up on a Saturday early with the kids if they get up early, and then we swap it around. So we both get that lie-in at the weekend. Man, last Sunday, I literally just slobbed around the house. It was a really nice day. I got the beanbag out. Me and the missus, we had a beer and a glass of wine, and we just chilled. And the kids just played around. That was it. And it was nice. And I like coming out of this disciplined structure, okay, to have that freedom. And what I found for me personally is that when I did it 7 days a week, there was no let-up, okay? I'm definitely going to need that this weekend, okay? Because at the end of this 5 day, I'm mentally fried. And then I've got to go and deliver a 4-day retreat in Spain to the guys that I'm mentoring on my 1%. So, you know, it's important to know the balance. It's important to have balance. I think at the very start of your journey, it's cool to keep that going in the stages and figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you know? Cool. All right, guys. So let's wrap up. Let's give me any questions. What are your thoughts on this? How are you finding everything so far? What did you think about the Remember the Mission 90? Is it something that you're going to look into? Is it something that you need? Anything that we've got going on here in terms of wrapping up, guys? Let me just see if there's any more questions that I've missed while you comment there. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. I hope you all managed to watch Marcus today and see how inspirational that guy was. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. In fact, it's up on the podcast. So remember, go to Remember the Mission podcast, listen to his journey of how he overcame stage 4 cancer, how he was told he had I think he was told he had 90 days to live. Okay. He's incredible, man. All right, questions. I'm struggling with a little bit today's task. And I'm drawing a bit of a blank. I'm at work at the moment, but I'll try. The other thing when you do this task is the time of day that you do it. If you try to do it in the evening at the end of a long day, you're not going to be thinking as clear. Like cognitively, I can feel that I'm exhausted even talking to you guys. I'm slurring my words. I've been up since like 4 o'clock this morning. So I can tell that I'm tired. I'm not on my best. I'm also like under the weather. So you've got to be able to recognize as well when you're at your peak. So the best time to do something like this is to get it done early in the morning when your mind's fresh, when you're cognitively alive. And you're like, boom, like, where am I going? Brain dump. Let's get that down. Next morning, prioritize. Next morning, do I like those top 3 things? Next morning, right, let's put that into plan. Next morning, let's reverse engineer it. And over 5 days, you can come up with that plan, you know. How would you suggest dealing with self-sabotage? I struggle with this a lot. Things start going well and I seem to do things that throw all of the work out the window. Self-sabotage, God, I think it's just one of those things that becomes habit. I think that when we're doing well, we self-sabotage ourselves by almost talking ourselves down, or it's going so well, I've got to lose my momentum. And I think it just really becomes a base of habit and mindset. I don't actually think there is such a thing as self-sabotage. I just think that we just lose self-discipline is more the key, all right? And we call it self-sabotage. We lose the reason, we forget the reason that we're showing up, I think. If I put a gun to one of your family members' head and said, if you don't show up, I'm going to pull the trigger, you would continuously keep showing up until you needed to, right? It's just remembering why you need to show up. The why is the most important, right? Okay, so I have got no more questions coming through. Oh, yes I do. Here we go. My brain is fried but exciting. It is a bit like that. It is new for you guys. Remember that. For a lot of you, this is new. Yeah, Rob Burrows. What a legend that guy was. Very sad to hear that news as well. Cool. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that and not too overwhelmed. Tomorrow, we're going to go through the 6 principles of showing up. Okay, these are our 6 principles that over the years we've built up, and that you hit these 6 principles, they're almost going to reinforce the reprogramming of your mind. Okay, makes sense? We've got a round table tomorrow at 12 where we've got some of the ambassadors coming in, so you can ask any questions for those guys. We're going to talk about what it takes to succeed on the blueprint, on when you change, on the mindset of investing in yourself and overcoming those barriers of like that stop you, okay, and making sure that you go to the next level. If there's any questions on the program, you can email me at boardmanjames.com. There's also a link on that page to book a call. So if you feel like you want to get on a call with me to ask me questions about it because you need reassurance, that's what I'm here for, right? So that's how we help people. That's what we want to do. More questions quickly. What do you do before bed? Get ready for your early morning routine. What do you do before bed? I usually watch some shit Netflix drama series that my missus makes me watch, which helps me go to sleep. But just chilled. Like, obviously tonight I'm going to be wired after this, so I'm going to go for a walk around the block twice probably, and then I'm going to go to bed because I am fried. All right, so I will see you tomorrow, ready to go. Remember, all these sessions are going up on the Remember the Mission podcast, so make sure you're listening. Also the catch-up page, which I've sent out to you guys as well on Messenger and email. So if you've missed anything, you can't find anything, go to the catch-up page. All the links are up to date on that. I think that's it. Let's rock and roll. Let's keep the momentum going. Keep pushing, keep grinding, see how far we can go, yeah? Okay, see you tomorrow.